Hi, Jim Gannon from RPS. Just a question to the representative from LM Power. Initially, as a test case, at what point of certainty in one of these projects do you begin saying, yes, we will invest, considering that there will be planning and other regulatory structures that need to be fixed? And similarly for yourself, there will be a lead time in terms of planning and upskilling of resources on the ground. Thank you.
Just speaking generally, I think for us it will be probably when we get a line of sight to the pricing. When you get the governmental agreement and you know that both sets of governments are committed to this and you get a view of the pricing. Then behind this, most people then can start planning. And hopefully, just talking to people around here, that should be somewhere around the end of this year, beginning of next year. Governments always slip. Let's give them a quarter. Probably the first quarter of next year, we'd be able to get a good view.
Okay, thank you.
Jon Lawler from ESB. A very similar question, actually. It's to both Larry and, sorry, I've forgotten the name, Larry and Damien. It's about scale. We've 2,000 megawatts of wind on the island. We're about to get another 2,000 over the course of the next 6-7 years domestically. It hasn't brought you guys manufacturing into Ireland yet. What's the scale of a project like this need to be? 5,000 has definitely brought you to the table here today. But what sort of scale do you need before you will say, this makes sense for us to now invest in Ireland?
It's actually quite easy to answer. Wherever we will have a project, there will be local content. Mind you, local suppliers have to be competitive in the first place. But it does make sense that when you start talking numbers over 25 units a year, to use local assembly. There will be local assembly at all times to start out with. There will be local installation outfits doing work for you. However, when you get into the, say, the 50 or more turbines per annum, the more local components and even long lead items come into play. So it's all dependent on the amount of turbines. If you build one turbine in Afghanistan, you're not going to do any local content.
Okay.
I mean, I would reiterate that. We've been working on 5 gigawatts. We know that there is a potential for 2 to 3 more because of Ireland's own renewal obligations. But certainly in the region of 4 to 5 gigawatts, it is well worthwhile putting a dedicated plant in the country to deliver that. And also it goes back to Andy's comment of, we have got to be competitive in this project, so there's got to be a certain level of scale that allows you to actually hit a low price point. And those of you that work in manufacturing will know, getting a reasonable line of sight to your volume and getting to level load your production facility really starts bringing your cost per unit down tremendously, which is really what we've got to achieve here.
You have to remember that we are not manufacturers, we assemble and install. So there's a difference between us two.
Okay. We've one more question.
Sorry, Patrick Little from Axis Architecture here in Tullamore. Would the companies that would be looking to set up here for the Irish market be interested in using those facilities or see a future for using those facilities for other international markets after the construction of this project is completed?
From LM's perspective, absolutely. We tend to pick who are our best advisors internationally and use them. So we found ourselves using the same sets of advisors on multiple times in multiple countries.
I tend to give a similar answer, and on top of that, there are quite a few offshore projects being planned, which could use the same kind of facilities which we are looking for an on-land outfit. But for us, the closer you are to where the project is, especially talking offshore, because transportation costs are so high for installation, etc., If we'd have a project in the Baltic Sea, I don't see much coming from Ireland unless it's very, very competitive.
Yeah, there's no question that we would as well. I mean, and you would have flexibility in the setup of the plant from a tower perspective to be able to handle offshore and onshore towers. You plan for the offshore and be able to build onshore within that facility as well.